Thornton here. Today I want to show you how to make my gourmet macaroni and cheese. All right, today we're going to make two different kinds. We're going to make lobster mac and cheese and also pulled pork mac and cheese. Now, if you want to make the whole recipe with just one meat, you're going to just have to double the meat, okay? I've got two medium lobster tails here, and I've got about 3/4 of a pound, half, 3/4 of a pound of some pulled pork meat. Okay, I've got two green onions. I'm going to use one to go in the lobster meat and another one just for a little garnish on top. I've got two good cloves of garlic we're going to press, and then I've got 2 cups of macaroni and cheese, or macaroni noodle. I've got a good teaspoon of dried basil. All right, I've got 1.5 cups of shredded cheddar cheese. I've got 1/2 cup of a 5 Italian blend shredded cheese. I've got about 2 1/4 cups of milk. Now I use fat-free milk, skim milk, so if you use whole milk, you might need a little bit more. We want to get the cheese sauce at just the right thickness, okay? Now we're going to start off by making a roux, so I've got a 1/4 cup of butter, which is a 1/2 stick, and also a 1/4 cup of flour. And we'll also use some salt and pepper and maybe a dash of cayenne. Now, I've got 3 slices of bacon for the topping for garnishment. And for the barbecue meat, I've got right at a 1/2 cup of my favorite barbecue sauce that we'll put on the meat before we put the cheese sauce on there. And I've got about a good tablespoon of some dry rendezvous seasoning that we'll put over the top. So that's all the ingredients. So let me do a little bit of prep work and we'll get right to it. All right, I got everything prepped. I got the lobster cleaned and cut up, got the bacon chopped, got the green onions chopped. Everything should be ready to go. I've also got the macaroni cooking. I'm gonna let it boil for no longer than 5 minutes. That'll be 5 minutes right there. All right, we're going to take this off the stove. All right, and we'll just let that sit on the stove. All right, now we want to make our roux. I've got my saucepan warmed up a little bit. Melt this butter real quick. All right, the butter's almost melted all the way. So we're gonna go ahead and add the 1/4 cup of flour. And we just wanna stir that until it just becomes all blended together and make a little butter and flour roux. Still waiting on just a little bit of the butter to melt. It's a good idea once it all blends together to let it sit there and just simmer for just a little bit. I'm cooking on about 4.5. Trying to get this to bubble just a little bit. 5. It's starting to bubble. I'm going to let it just sit there and bubble for just about 30 seconds or so. Yeah, it's bubbling good now. All right, next we're going to go ahead and add the milk. We'll go ahead and turn this up just a little bit to about 7. I got right at 2 1/4 cups of milk. We'll check the sauce when it gets done and make sure it's not too thick. All right, we're just going to stir and heat this until it comes to a boil and turns into a nice little gravy. All right, it's looking really good and creamy. I can see it just barely starting to think about boiling. It looks really good and creamy. All right, at this point, we're going to turn the stove down a good bit. We're going to put it on about 3 1/2. All right, and I want to go ahead at this point and add some salt. Probably about 1/2 teaspoon. Some pepper. Same thing there, probably about 1/2 teaspoon if you want to measure it. And then a good dash of some cayenne. And we'll stir that in there. Oh, it's looking really good now. It started to just barely boil, just a couple of bubbles, and that's what you want. You just want it to heat up enough to make the flour and the milk turn thick. All right, at this point, we're going to go ahead and add the 1.5 cups of cheddar cheese. I really need a bigger saucepan, but this is the only one I got. All right, we're going to go ahead and add the 1/2 cup of Italian blend cheese. And we're just going to blend this all together in that gravy. All right, that's pretty much it for the cheese sauce. If I can keep from making a mess. All right, we're going to turn this off and just let it sit there. And at this point, we're going to get the lobster going. We're going to start out on about 7. We're going to use a little butter for the lobster too. You can use olive oil, but butter just makes everything taste better, especially in mac and cheese. I'm just going to take about 3/4 of a tablespoon. Get this going here. We're almost done. End up working on the gravy for about 8 minutes altogether it took from the time we started to getting it finished. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and put the lobster in. Go ahead and put the green onion in. Like I said, if you want to make the whole recipe, the 2 cups of macaroni and the cheese sauce, and just make lobster mac and cheese, you want to use 4 of those medium lobster tails. All right, we're going to go ahead at this point and press the garlic in. Need at least 2 good cloves. Today I'm using 1 good one and a couple of smaller ones. We want this lobster to just get done. It doesn't take it but just a couple of minutes. You don't want to overcook that. All right, we're going to go ahead and put our basil in. We're not going to put the basil in the barbecue macaroni and cheese, just the lobster. All right, we're going to go ahead and turn this down from 8 down to about 3. Make sure that lobster's done. It looks really good and white. We're going to season it with just a little salt and pepper, dash of cayenne. Now we're going to take half of our mac and cheese put in there with the lobster. All right, we still got this on 3. We're going to let that just heat up for just a minute. All right, now we're going to add almost half of the cheese sauce in here. We want to save a little bit to go on top. So going to mix that all together. I'm going to turn it up to about 5. Oh, it looks so creamy. Take one of our lasagna dishes. We'll see this bubble just one time. Maybe go up to 6. All right, it's just starting to bubble a little bit. We're going to turn this off. going to take half this bacon. Sprinkle it all on top. And half of these green onions. All right, there's the lobster mac and cheese. All right, now that we've got the lobster mac and cheese ready, let's go ahead and make the barbecue. I got the skillet kind of warmed up a little bit. I'm gonna throw this pulled pork in here. I probably got a little bit too much pork, but I'd rather have too much meat than not enough. All right, we're going to let this meat heat up just a little bit. It's kind of, the chunkier it is, the better. You don't want to chop it up in too small pieces. All right, as that's warming up, we're going to add, I got a half a cup here. We're just going to see how much we want. I'll put about 2/3 of that in there. Turn this down a little bit to about midways. I'm on 5. Still just kind of heating the meat up a little bit. All right, the meat should be warm, so we're going to go ahead and add the other half of our macaroni. Let that heat up just a little bit. We're almost done. All right, we're going to go ahead and add most of the cheese sauce. I ended up not putting any more on top of the lobster. It looks really good like it is. All right, we just want to let this heat up. We don't want to stir this too much because we want the barbecue sauce to kind of stay on the meat and not mix in with the cheese. So we're just going to let this heat for just a minute. Then we'll be ready. Starting to bubble. It's starting to bubble all over. All right, so we're going to go ahead and pour this into our serving dish. Oh, it looks good. A lot of meat in there. All right. Dish is definitely full. All right, we're gonna go ahead and put the rest of this cheese sauce on top. Right, now to finish off the barbecue, we're going to take this 1 tablespoon of rendezvous seasoning and sprinkle it all over the top. Just cover the top real good. Then we're going to take the rest of the bacon and the green onions. All right, well there you have, there's my gourmet barbecue macaroni and cheese and gourmet lobster macaroni and cheese. This stuff is so delicious. I appreciate your time. Hope it works out good for you if you make it. And once again, I'm David Thornton, and thank you for watching my video. I appreciate you.